Figurative Exercise. The second of the foundational 6 exercises, the core purpose is to provide a quick entry into creating metaphors and inspiration, as well as showing the flexibility of words when combined in different ways. We'll start by filling in the boxes A through E. You can use the words out of your own head, which would be quite an exercise on its own, but I'd recommend using a word generator like the one I put together on the website. The URL lyric.tools will take you there directly, and you can click on the gray boxes for a set of randomized options. In the same way I recommend using a rhyming dictionary to broaden your available choices, using a word generator often leads you in a direction you might not have traveled on your own. Once your words are filled in, we'll start off at section 1 with the formula, the A plus B of C. We have an example set of words, fragile, wave, trust, and scatter, to get an idea of how this works. Plug in your own words into the formula and mix and match until you find a phrase that strikes a chord. You can try out the different options in the space below, or use it to expand on the idea you've just created. Section 2. This is a great way to introduce a bit of personification into your lyrics. Following the formula, you'll get phrases like need gracefully quits. You can flip the position of D and E as you like to see if one sounds a little better to your ear. For example, need quits gracefully. In this section, it's generally more interesting to focus on the inanimate nouns or ones that aren't typically alive, such as humans or animals. Otherwise, you'll get phrases like the dancer quit gracefully, which just feels a bit more straightforward and not as interesting as something like hospitality quit gracefully. Section 3. Here's where we'll mix and match nouns to create metaphors, similes, and comparisons. You can use all of the words from columns B and C at random to fill in the blanks. Switch the order and swap out words until you come up with a phrase that strikes you. You can expand on the thought within the grid, or if you're really on a roll, you can use the extra pages in the back of the book to keep writing. Section 4. Finally, we'll combine our adjectives with our nouns to give them a little descriptive feeling and create an entirely different sort of comparison. The simile formula as A is a B creates idioms that are frequently used in cliches. But by mixing words that might not typically be used together, you can turn a cliché on its head, or create a really interesting entry point into a metaphor. When the words don't seem to match up, challenge yourself to see if you can find any ways they are alike. For example, taking the phrase in the book, as fragile as a wave. For me, a wave evokes the opposite idea of fragile, as it feels like a powerful force. But by asking myself what these words have in common, I can come up with the idea of crashing. From there, I can follow the trail and ask what else comes to mind when I think of crashing. Maybe a computer overload, the freeway, a monster truck rally, or maybe an emotional breakdown. I could then take the emotional breakdown idea and write about the feeling of fragility and constantly crashing, or a wave continually breaking in that cycle of nature. The opportunities are endless, but keep your mind open to see what thoughts might join up to inspire a single line or jumpstart the idea for a full song. When you're finished, scan back over what you've written and circle any phrases you'd like to save for later or keep working on. Transfer these to the back on page 58 to keep a log of song starters that you'll use later on in the book. And that's it for the figurative exercise. We'll repeat this once every week to keep exploring all the different ways you can use words to find inspiration and build an impressive library of your very own song starters.